All right, welcome back to Taco's Truck. This is episode 2 of the year. It's for week 3 coming up. I'm your commissioner, David Molly.
And league treasurer, co-host Joe Stevenson.
All right. Yeah, let's get right
Dollar
back
bills,
in.
baby.
Yeah, let's get into it. Weekly Rewind. All right.
That's sick. I'm sorry. That's so sick. Go ahead.
All right. We'll start out with Weekly Rewind. Week 2. I'll start out with my division. We got Spitting Straight Facts 145.1 to beat Front Porch. Oh my God, I have fairies written down. Diaries. Hey. Oh my God, I did them dirty.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
I said fairies. Oh, Sean, I'm so sorry. 89.2. Basically, I got wrote down that Lockett for a 31.8 and McLaurin for a 27.7. Basically was the kick up for me. Sean's wide receivers had a 3.6, a 2.7 in Brown, and then Landry obviously got hurt for a 1.9. So that's a rough one.
Yeah, baby. So Front Porch Diaries didn't show up at all this week. 89, 145. Like I said, it's the exact same thing. Awesome week from Lockett and McLaurin. They doubled their projections when you put them together. So that's always huge. Diaries did have a nice game out of Hawkinson. But he also joined our infamous club that we started with the negative point defense. So he threw up a negative something like -2. Yeah. And he's probably with Landry, he's going to be missing him for the near future. So Sean, come and see me. I've got some receivers for sale, and you can add that ass whooping to your diaries because you got some smoke, baby.
All right, what you got next here, Joe?
I've got we're gonna start out with mine as well. It was Joe's kryptonite over draft day ballers. It was not pretty. I've got the Mark curse right now, bro. Like Brandon put up 9 touchdowns last week. Drake says I can do one better. He puts up 10 touchdowns. He had an awesome stack with Brady Gronk that was killing me and by halftime. So, and then of course Kelsey always over his projection. And basically just means I'm starting off the season 0-2 and I am not happy about it, but
yeah,
that's what we got.
Yeah. Only thing I have wrote down is it's hard to win when your RB 1 and 2 and wide receiver 1 and 2 get single digit points.
So, yeah, baby. They was balling.
That's struggle.
They was balling.
All right. We'll move on to Salty Trader winning 118.2 over Cocksure for sure. 190 or 91.8. Sorry. Lamar going for 33.7 and Julio going for that 18.8. Pretty good. And then, Matt, he's struggling in the running back department. He, started at the very beginning of the season and he continues to struggle there. Taylor with 6.3 and Gainwell with a 7.2. But what else really can you do? He doesn't have very much options out there. So
yeah, for sure.
Until those guys turn it around.
Yeah. I feel it's paying on the running back situation as well. Sure. It is hurting right now, but yeah, Salty, he cruised to a victory this week, man. It was pretty easy for him. Steelers again let Matt down. Big Ben struggled. Steelers D. Hey, side note, we got another one to the group with negative points, right? Steelers got a -1, so we're up to like 4 of us now in this group, 4 or 5 of us. This is an awesome start to the season. And then, like you said, Lamar Jackson and Julio. Julio was the focal point of that passing game. I was keeping track because obviously I got AJ Brown. And I was just hoping to God, and he did give AJ Brown 9 targets. He led the team in targets. They only connected 3 times for like 14 yards. It was horrible. Where the hell it was 3 for 30, but Julio definitely stepped up week 2 after that week 1 struggle. So good week for Tom for sure. I'll take one more from our division. Let's do Big Daddy and OBJ. So Big Daddy, he put the fairies to sleep this week. He had a 14-point victory. Again, we were just talking earlier, but Dak had an efficient game. He had actually, I think, 23, 27, 247 or 248. He doesn't have any touchdowns. Cowboys got their run game going. So it resulted in 7 fantasy points for Mark, which usually is going to be more in a game like that. But and Derrick Henry, geez, dude, 47.7. Yeah, it was gross. And then Mark threw up a 0 from his tight end in a week where it was a tight end kicker week. So not good there. But Big Daddy had one of those weeks. Just everybody just played good. Like if you look at his lineup and look all the way down the row, almost everybody hit except for Edwards-Helaire had 2.6. So
yeah,
his team was highlighted with Russell Wilson again, and then Devontae had a snapback. The whole Packers team, played really well against Detroit. So they're both in the 20s.
For sure. All right. We'll move to, I gotta move our faces real quick. I gotta find a more efficient way of doing this. Moving on to Joe Falco winning 127.6 over Squash and Nuts Bum 123.5. Rogers going for 34.6, and then Mike Williams for 22.1. Clint did have Jones go for 41.5, and really, I think the biggest downfall, I mean, you can look down at like his tight end and his flex, having single digit points, that's obviously hurting, but you're expecting more out of Herbert there. So
yes,
I think that was the biggest thing, the biggest letdown of the team.
Yes. Yep. I wrote the exact same thing. It was Herbert and Sanders. That was Sanders. I don't know if he's even going to have a spot in that offense this year. With Jalen Hurts taking over, and it's going to be more of a Lamar Jackson style offense. So we'll see what happens. But I just wrote the exact same thing you did. But then I said, the matchup this week, I think we both said it was going to be really close, and it didn't disappoint. Like it was this one I was watching, and it was actually a real lame matchup for quite a while. But then when the Packers game hit, this thing got saucy. It really did, man. I mean, like it was Aaron Jones was putting it up, and he was catching up, but then Rodgers was getting those points, and it came out to be really nice.
It was fun on that Monday. Yeah, I was trying to keep track of it, but I'm not gonna lie, I was at the bar and I
was tipsy.
Yeah. But anyway,
all right,
moving on to the last one.
Yep. I got best in slot. He took over the top spot in Pocket Dogs this week. He overcame a huge week by Kyler Murray again. And he only put up 14 with Burrow. So Brendan really didn't have any like letdown this week. He did finish with 141.7, but Kilo had Super Cup again, 36-8, and then his Bills defense throwing up a 19 that shutout on Miami. It carried him through, but another close matchup, tough matchup, and now best in slot is up on top.
Yep. All right. So going over the projections of week 1 for Joe and I. David beat Sean. Joe and David both have Sean. JR beat Matt. We both had JR, so that's a win. Kilo beat Brandon. We both had Brandon, so that's a loss. Drake beat Joe. We both had Drake. That's a win. Tom beat Matt. We both had Matt or Tom, sorry. And then Marshall beat Clint, and Joe had Marshall. So Joe is 4-2 for this season so far, and I'm 3-3. Let's move to the next one. Busted or busted.
All right. The new segment again, busted and busted. It's where we bring to you guys somebody that didn't do so hot and someone that's just balling out. So I'll get started. I've got busted this week. We're gonna go right to my squad. Was Tyreek Hill. He did catch 3 of his 4 targets for 14 yards. So yeah. It wasn't pretty. Now I'm gonna say it's not all his fault. When you only get 4 targets, it's hard to produce. But Baltimore they were smart in that game. I don't know if you didn't even watch that game. They played double coverage on Tyreek the whole game. I mean, it was right from
almost the whole game. Even when they were playing single coverage on him, they were playing so good. The single coverage. Yes. It was like you had to be perfect, and they were perfect.
Yeah, they were. They really stepped up. And all I put down for some notes was, if you're going to be a top level wide receiver, which he is, you still got to find ways to get open, and if that means, hey, they're doubling you throughout the game, by third quarter, you need to make some adjustments. Go tell Mahomes to force some looks your way, do a little, hot routes, whatever you got to do. And if that doesn't work, then by all means, go through like a water jug. You can headbutt a kicking net, scream at Patty like he's Daniel Jones. I don't care what you got to do. you got to get some more targets coming your way. What do you got for busted this week?
Yeah, my first busted was Jonathan Taylor. He was projected 17.6, ended up with a 6.3. In week 2, he went for 15 for 51 yards, 1 reception for 2 yards. Throughout the 2 weeks, he is actually leading the league in having 8 touches inside the 10-yard line and 6 touches within the 5, and he has yet to score. So,
Yikes.
And he also has 8 targets in
Go
the
Badgers
game.
Go so, Badgers.
No, he was elite there. He was elite.
Yeah, he
there.
was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. That's rough. Moving
on. Or go ahead.
No, you say go ahead. Take your first busting, man. Go ahead. What do you got?
For my first busting, I got going to my squad. JD McKissick.
Yep.
He was projected 7.7. He got a 20.3. He had 4 carries for 10 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 receptions for 83 yards.
There it is. Yeah, that's what he's made to do in that system. They need to keep him on the field and keep hitting him on those little swing routes and, dump offs, but definitely a underrated performing back,
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to go with my obvious busting was Tom Brady, and I put in parentheses Gronk. I had to face those guys this week, but Brady, 5 touchdowns to go with the 4 that he threw in week 1. I mean, we're talking 9 TDs in 2 weeks. He's on pace. It's like 76, what they said. He's on pace for 76 touchdowns. No, obviously he's probably not going to keep that up throughout the year, but you don't know. I mean, there's no slowing down with this guy. He's 44. He's averaging 328 yards per game. He's completing 66% of his passes. And then a little side note, he completed to 10 different receivers this week against the Falcons. I mean, he's not just focused. It seems like he's focused on Gronk because all the touchdown stacks, but then he's hitting everybody. I mean, he's making completions to the water boy. Yeah, I mean, 24 completions for the game, 10 different receivers. That's crazy to me. I'm going to move on to my next busted, and I'm going to go on a little rant here, but I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's one of mine.
Yeah, Clyde, I mean, 13 for 46. I've seen worse, but it's a 3.5 yard per carry. And then, of course, coughing up the fumble at the end of the game when the Chiefs were getting down to field goal range was huge.
That's the worst part.
But yeah. And on the year, he's got 27 carries for 77 yards, 0 touchdowns. You can argue it's a scheme, you know how it is in Kansas City. They're not a run team. But we're gonna go back to last year. He's got a total of 15 games that he started so far.
Yeah, just the tidbit into the last year. I'm not sure if you have it pulled up yet or not, but didn't he start out like this?
Yes.
With the lack of touchdowns.
Yes.
I mean, there wasn't a lack of yards, but it was a lack of touchdowns, I do believe.
Well, and they're always gonna, flip the ball to Kelsey or do the little, plays that they do down there.
Right.
So I mean, like I said, a lot of it is scheme, but he was the first running back taken last year, if you guys remember, as 29th or 30th, wherever Kansas City was picking. He was taking over some other elite running backs. He's got 2 100-yard games so far. That's it, just 2. You know how many games that he's rushed for under 50 yards?
Just last year.
No, he's started 15 total games in his career. How many do you think he's rushed for under 50?
8.
9. Yep, you're real close. How many do you think he's rushed for under 80?
All of them but the 200s.
Yep, 13. 13 games are under 80. I mean, that's a far cry from being the number 1 pick that year. And I know they took him for scheme and Andy Reid, but you gotta perform better than that, man.
I have to go off on a rant and increase our time here, but do you think that that's possibly not only scheme, but also the NFL in general? How many teams play 100% snap carry? You're looking, a lot of teams are close to 60-40 now, right?
They are.
So,
yep.
I think it's harder to get 100-yard rushing game nowadays,
This is true. And I'm not saying he has to do it every week, but when you got guys that are, what was Tyus Williams, a 6th-round pick or undrafted?
Tyson Williams?
Yeah. Or who? His first game, he was, I think, 11 carries for 90 yards.
He's had over 90 yards in both games.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that, it has to be every week, but sometimes when you do get 13 carries, you got to make that work, you know,
Yeah.
and especially when Kansas City revamped their offensive line the way they did,
Sure.
you know, and then everyone's going to play the pass against that scheme. So I expect bigger chunks of yards coming from this guy, and it just hasn't happened yet. But
Sure. Yeah.
a lot of time spent on CEH, but hey, he's a bum. I don't like him.
I don't either.
Nice. What are we on here? Busted? What do you got for busted?
My last busted because I also had Clyde was Devontae Smith. Projected 13 points. He had 3.6. Excuse me. He did have 7 targets, but he only reeled in 2 for 16 yards. So
yeah, and he balled out last week, first game in. You know, he was kind of like setting that expectation level up there.
So I mean, I have Jalen Hurts, so I pay attention to the team, and it wasn't that he wasn't looking at him. Obviously, he had 7 targets. There was some sort of disconnect last week. I mean, I don't know what it is. It was almost bad timing. It wasn't like he was getting blanketed. It wasn't like Hurts was making really bad throws. I just think there was some sort of disconnect there, some sort of timing issue. But moving on to Bussin, another guy that I drafted. I had to unfortunately let him go, but I wish he was still on the waiver wire, but there's no fucking way. Back. Tony Pollard, projected 7 points. He had 23 on the dot. He had 13 carries for 109, 1 TD, and 13 receptions for 31 yards. So pretty good fucking day.
Balling. And see, there you go. 13. He's 13 for 100, you know?
Yeah.
Little Clyde over there, 13 for 46. Yeah, right. I tried picking up Tony Pollard as well. And of course, Mark got him. But
Mark? Sean.
Yeah. I thought Mark got him. I could be wrong.
I thought it was
I had
Sean.
to look back.
Okay.
But definitely I tried to get him as well. And he's definitely gonna eat into Zeke's carries for sure, you know. If as long as he keeps doing that. I got a bust in this week, and it's the obvious running back. Yeah, it's King Henry, dude. I mean, Derrick Henry was just balling out. And what was really crazy to me is how dedicated the Titans are to continue to do their thing. They were down in that game. You know, they're chasing in that game. And it didn't matter. They weren't trying to, you know, put it on Tannehill's shoulders per se and make it happen. They just kept running the football. And they ran back into the game. The dude had 35 carries for 182 and 3 touchdowns. Plus, he had 6 catches for 55, threw up a 47.7. It's the highest so far in the season. I know it's only week 2. But, you know, last week he was on my busted squad with 10.7. So that's a huge turnaround for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I've got go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have one last bussin and then a bunch of honorable mentions. But
all right, yeah, hit it.
My last guy is Mike Williams. He was projected 13.1. He had a 22.1. He had 10 targets, 7 receptions for 91 yards and a TD. So
yikes.
I know there's been a lot of confusion about who's number 2 there. I've always felt really good about Mike Williams. He just gets hurt a lot, you know. So, but it's nice to see him do well.
Yeah, he's actually stuck by a lot of other guys have left. So I think they got some confidence in Mike Williams as well.
Yeah.
It was rough for the Cowboys. I mean, Cowboys secondary is not good. Diggs is our best, and we put him on Keenan Allen, you know, but yeah, everyone else is getting scorched. Whoever the number 2 is when you're playing Dallas, put him in your lineup. It's looking really good right now. I'll do a busted real quick. I got a busted and a busted left, but my busted is Alvin Kamara. He's 8 for 5, 8 carries for 5 yards. Do you know what his longest run was on Sunday?
What was the stat line? I'm sorry.
He had 8 carries for 5 yards. What do you think his longest run was?
8 for 5. So like 2?
It was 5.
5.
So that means, I mean, like he's struggling out there. And I know even in week 1 with the blowout against the Pack, if you know, it was a weird game, you know. Jameis Winston only had like 148, I think it was, and they didn't even get the ball running. It was field position and defense, but he added 4 catches for 25, which is still below normal for Kamara by far. Like I said, the whole team struggled. Panthers defense is looking really good this year, but season stats for Alvin right now is 28 carries for 88 yards at a 3.1 yard per carry. He's only got 7 catches for 33, and that's his one lone touchdown was a reception. It's just not what you'd expect out of a top 3 fantasy guy. You know, everyone's got him way up there, and he's not performing so far. So he's busted this week. Busted on the season, but busting, I got Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp. I know we mentioned them before, but for being their supposed number 2s on their respective teams, these guys are balling out like number 1s in the league right now. You know,
I don't think that Kupp was listed as a 1 or a 2 this year, though.
Sure,
not that it makes a difference because they're doing the same thing last year with, you know, it's the same thing. But anyway,
yeah. But if you go by fantasy rankings and fantasy expectations, Robert Woods was higher than Kupp. You know, so everyone expects Robert Woods to be the guy, but Cooper Kupp, just like last week, he's blowing up. So far in the season, Lockett's got 12 catches for 278 and 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 23 yards per catch. That is like Deshaun Jackson when he's younger, just everything was over 20.
Right.
Kupp has 16 catches for 271 and 3 touchdowns. Just a little bit less, per catch, but he's got more catches. But there's a straight bossing, man, big time. And then honorable mention, Aaron Jones, for sure, huge game, a lot of touchdowns. And then a small little busted Front Porch Diaries. You're the first team to score underneath 100 points this year, but I have a feeling it ain't gonna be the last time for you or for somebody else this season. So congrats on the 89, buddy.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion.
Oh, it was disgraceful. Hit him with it, Commish. What's the next?
Well, I did have a couple honorable mentions. We obviously named Lockett, Henry, Jones, Kupp, but I would like to say once again, these fucking Lions, man, TJ Hawkinson, you know, motherfuckers out here balling. And then obviously scary Terry McLaurin. So
scary Terry.
Yeah,
I don't like him in my division at all. He needs to go.
All right, let's move on. Buy or sell. All right, last week we had Baker Mayfield versus Houston, quarterback 12. He finished quarterback 19. He had 19 points. He was 19 for 21, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He did have 10 rushing yards and 1 TD. Joe picked no. I picked no. We both won that. Najee versus the Raiders, running back 4. He finished running back 8, which is about where we said he was going to finish, 19.1 points. He went 10 for 38. He did have 5 receptions for 43 yards and 1 touchdown. And Justin Jefferson versus Cardinals, wide receiver 10. I'm sorry. We picked no on Najee, and we were both right. We both picked no for Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 10. He finished wide receiver 19, so we both hit. 18.5 points. He went 6 for 65, 1 touchdown. He did have 10 targets, but remember last week when I said KJ Osborne? Yeah. Man.
Oh yeah. Still balling. Was that the first catch of the game? Was what once for?
Yeah, it was like for a 200-yard pass or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
All right. Man, this is how bad I am at producing these. I sent you this text message with what we got. Did you do these? You got them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jesus, I never made sure.
Yeah, we're good.
I know you were sleeping because you had to work. All right, we'll move into this week's buy or sells. It's Rodgers at San Francisco, quarterback 10. What do you got, Joe?
Well, I want to say no. San Fran's defense is still good. They still play pretty well, and they can hold quarterbacks down. But Aaron Rodgers was rolling this week. He's a California boy. He's going to be playing in California. I like what he's got going on. He's got a little chip on his shoulder right now after that week 1 thing. I watched a press conference I think I was telling you about where he gets pretty chippy with one of the press, which is pretty awesome. I think right now he's got a little statement to make for a couple of weeks, and I'm still going to stay on the Aaron Rodgers train. I'm going to say he makes it to quarterback 10.
Damn it, Joe. I wrote no because you said no.
I'm sorry, bud.
Can't be doing this fucking flip shit, goddamn gymnastics bullshit. All right. I also have yes. Week 1, San Francisco allowed Goff to go 38 for 57, 338 for yardage, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And they allowed Hurts to be quarterback 14 last week, and he didn't even throw a touchdown. So I got him going quarterback 10. The over under is 50.5. Packers underdog by 3.5. So basically applied totals is 49ers 27, Packers 24. I got him projected to throw 300 yards and at least get 2 touchdowns, even more if they have to play from behind because they're the underdogs.
Yeah, I think he's running one in this week too. I do think he's going to get one of those little 5-yard scrambles.
So I got him for a yes. Moving on, Barkley versus Atlanta, running back 8.
So this one, this isn't far off. So if you've been paying, I mean, I've been paying attention because I need running back help. They are increasing Barkley's touches every week. And he actually, if you watched, he didn't have a huge week, but he did break a 41-yard run and then still stayed in the game. He was actually still healthy. I couldn't believe it. His hammies held up, everything else held up. So I just don't think yet it's going to be 8. I think he'll get there on the season eventually. But if you also watched, the leading rusher last week was Daniel Jones, 9 for like 107 or something like that, and a touchdown. So I think Jason Garrett's starting to let Daniel Jones kind of do his thing and morph into this new age offense that everyone's running where your quarterback just takes off. You know, it's working for everybody. It's working for Hurts. It's working for Jackson, and Daniel Jones is an athlete. So this week, even though it's Atlanta, I'm going to say it's a no.
God damn it, Joe. So I also have a no, and I literally have written down Daniel Jones is New York's running back 1. That's what I have wrote down. And Atlanta has allowed the most rushing yards to quarterbacks this year. Just throwing that out there. We'll move on. For a wide receiver, we got DeAndre Hopkins at Jacksonville, wide receiver 8.
So this is like looking at a juicy steak, right? You're like, hey, it's Jacksonville. Kyler Murray's, averaging 40 points a week. But I'm on the no this week, and I'm going to tell you just because in this league, with the PPR league and the way it's set up, if you look, it is not hard for a receiver to ball out. I fully expect Tyreek Hill to be back in. I expect Devontae Adams to be up in there. You still got Lockett, you got Kupp, you got, it could be anybody off the Bucks any given week. I think it's really hard to get into the top 8. And plus, Kyler Murray is not the same as last year. Last year, remember, he was focused on D-Hop, and everything went to D-Hop deep. He's already hitting, other receivers. Who was the shorty last week? Moore, Moore. Yeah, I mean, he goes everywhere now. And plus, I think that Chase Edmonds this week is actually going to have a really big week. I think they're going to kind of grind this week. Yep, I think that they're going to grind. I think Murray's only going to hit about 28 to 30 points instead of his average of 40. So I'm going to say he misses it by probably 2 or 3. He might be around 10 or 11.
I took the juicy steak, Joe.
No,
I got a yes here. I wrote that Jacksonville has allowed 232 yards and 159 yards to wide receiver 1s through the first week, 2 weeks. Hop was wide receiver 7 in week 1, and he was wide receiver 24 in week 2, but Rondale Moore was not double teamed at all in that game. So just given the stakes of what the defense is, I took the juicy steak.
All right.
Yeah, baby. All right, we'll move on. Last week's positional points was kicker tight end, and Drake won that with 33.9. Just a reminder for week 3, they're running back 1 tight end, right? I didn't fuck that one up, right?
Yep, okay. Running back 1 tight end for week 3. That is
correct.
Yep, I just put that, obviously the combo of Kelsey and Greg the Leg, or maybe a new nickname, Legatron. I don't know. maybe that goes to Prater for booming that 62-yarder, but 33-9 was basically a blowout. The next closest was Sean 27, with Hawk having a big week. So, but yeah, week 3, I just wrote, hey, keep an eye out. A couple little combos that I like for this RB1 and tight end. I like Chubb Kittle. Even though I just shit all over Alvin Kamara, I like Kamara Waller. And
that one's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, and you're busted, Jonathan Taylor. I have Taylor Andrews this week. Might actually surprise some people. So good luck, everybody, on the RB1.
That one will be carried by Andrews, though, by the way.
Carried by Andrews. All right, I like it.
All right, we'll move into the last segment here. It's now time for your future forecast. All right, let me get this up here. We got week 3 projections. We'll start out with mine. We got Salty Trader versus Spitting Straight Facts. I am picking Tom. I have him winning based off the Lamar Jackson versus Detroit. I do also think Edmonds is going to have a great game against Jacksonville. Sutton is going to have a great game against the Jets, and Metcalf versus Minnesota. That's one of them big juicy steaks. So
it is a big juicy steak. But I have you staying undefeated this week. I think you're going to take a little victory over Salty. It's going to be close. Hurts is going to be in for a big week against the Cowboys D. Everyone knows they're still squishy, but I do expect them to turn the ball over twice. If you don't know, Cowboys are leading the NFL in takeaways this year so far, 2 weeks in. I know it's not huge, but I'm going to hang my hat on it. Mixon and Lockett, they're going to continue to shine. And I also like your Broncos D this week. For Salty, like I said, he could easily sneak it out because Jackson's against Detroit, Edmonds at the Jags, Sutton's coming off a huge week. It's going to be close, but I got you eking him out.
All right.
We'll move up to my matchup. Let's go to Draft Day Ballers and OBJ.
Okay.
I'm going to stop the bleeding this week. He's got some tough divisional matchups in his lineup this week. Colts defense against Henry. I think Henry's going to come, not that he's going to, not get his 100 yards, but he's not going for, 185 and 3 touchdowns this week. And then Amari Cooper being banged up, I think is going to hurt Mark a little bit. And then, like we talked, Quan's getting more touches every week. I do see him hitting the end zone this week, and he's going to have a little bounce back for maybe 14, 15 points. And then so is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I also have Joe winning. I think it's closer than what the projections say. I will say that your running back situation, I'm not super high on, which I mean, and obviously everyone knows. But I just think that the Mahomes Hill combo in a game against the Chargers, I think it's going to be a shootout. I just think that's going to be the thing that takes it over the top there.
Yep, we hope so.
Let's go. Moving to Tubert 2.0 versus Big Daddy. I have Brandon winning, and just based off of 2 players, Murray versus Jacksonville and McCaffrey versus Houston. I think those 2 matchups, he's just gonna rocket him to winning this time.
Nice. I'm on the opposite side. I've got Big Daddy eking past Tubert 2.0. Kyler Murray's coming down a little bit, even though it's Jacksonville. I said he's not going to get 40 this week. I got him around 30. And then McCaffrey and Lamb, they should be balling out. CeeDee Lamb might have a big game with Gallup out and then Cooper being banged up. But the rest of his matchups are going to get some pretty tough Ds. So for Big Daddy, I'm putting a lot of stock in Russ to continue cooking. And then Devontae Adams and Thielen's doing really well this year with touchdowns. And then Devontae Adams, of course, is going to have another big week. And I have Chase finding the end zone this week as well. So I got Big Daddy eking one out here.
All right.
What we got next? Kryptonite. All right. Kryptonite versus Best in Slot. I've got Best in Slot over Kryptonite by double digits this week. I think this is going to be the biggest spread of the week. But Drake's got Brady going against a tough Rams D, and his running backs haven't done much this year. I feel your pain, brother, because mine haven't either. I do like your little 2 tight end set that you're running there with Gronk and Kelsey. Don't care who's where, but it's productive right now. Burrow and Davis are going to be Kilo's weakest players by far, and they have kind of been his weakest players on the season. I know Burrow's had a decent game in week 1, but still look for Kupp to still put up points, even though it's the Bucs D. And then Jefferson's due for a monster game, pick up a little bit of that slack. So, and then again, Kamara, he's going for 20 this week. So first time on the season, he's going to hit it. But I've got Slot over Kryptonite.
I'm the opposite. I got Kilo winning this. I love the Brady Gronk combo in a shootout versus the Rams. I do like Harris against Cincinnati, and I once again like the 2 tight end setup. I do like Kelsey versus the Chargers. Like I said before, the reason why I think you're going to win, I think that's going to be shootout. You're going to get a lot of points there. I would like to say, you said you don't care which one goes where, but it does matter because
it does this week. That's a good
point. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, but who goes where? Who goes where? I mean, Gronk's stacking TDs right now. That's interesting.
Honestly, I don't know.
You can't bet against Kelsey.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Well, good luck with that, Drake.
Yeah, Drake, enjoy that.
But yeah, so I do have Drake winning that one. Moving on, we got excuse me, we have Clint versus Sean. I have Clint winning. I like the Herbert Allen stack in KC, like I said before. I think it's gonna be a shootout. And then I really like DJ Moore versus Houston. Just those three alone, I feel like is gonna catapult him to a win.
For sure. I like that. I have Squash and Nuts Bum as well, joining me in the win column this week. We are not going to be defeated anymore, Clint. I said you're going to be beating the owner of the Wood Front Porch Diaries. He's coming off an 89-point week. But it's not going to get much better for him this week. He's got some difficult matchups. We just saw Tony Pollard eat into Zeke's carries last week. Zeke still had a decent game, but they're definitely going to have a two-headed monster from now on. And then Clint's going to be able to ride Jones. And then I see Debo having a big week and Young Ho Koo going to carry him to victory. So I've got Clint over Sean. Ooh, Cocksure for sure. I have him leaving the land of defeated this week as well, but not by victory. This is going to be a tie. I'm calling it first tie of the season. I've got I like Marshall because he's got Hopkins and Rodgers. They're gonna have big weeks, but Matt making that move at QB and grabbing Daniel Jones, I think is actually going to pay off big for him. I got Daniel Jones at 27 points this week. And then I think Diggs and Juju are both going to find the end zone, maybe multiple times. So it's going to be a tie. And if you had to ask me for points, let's just call it 119 to 119.
All right. I like the tie, but I got Matt winning. I did write in my notes that it's going to be a super close matchup, but like I said before, Daniel Jones, number one running back on his team, going against a team that has allowed the most the most rushing yards to quarterbacks this year. And then I think Godwin's due for some points here. And like I said before, Andrews, I think Andrews gonna turn around and ball out there. So I got Matt winning this one.
Nice. Hey, no more defeated teams in this league. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. All right. We'll go into your segment there, Joe. It's the Come On Man.
Yeah, we got Come On Man. All right, yep, to finish her up. So this one I didn't touch too much on anybody in the league. I only got two of them, but I think they're kind of important, I guess. But this one's going to go out to Zach Wilson and the Jets organization. The number 2 pick in the draft, number 2. And there was a lot of quarterbacks this year, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, Zach Wilson's going to be the most pro ready." Blah 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 blah. Mac Jones says bullshit. But number 2 pick in the draft, he's struggling. He's struggling so far in the whole season. I know it was against, he's going to be going against, he went against the Patriots, and they're back to normal. Their defense is all back. Everyone's not doing that COVID shit no more from last year. So I expect the Patriots D to be balling out all year. But he had 0 touchdowns and 4 picks. So just a little tidbit, there's been 6 games of such stature with 0 touchdowns and 4 picks, 6 games in the last 4 years. 3 of them, half, were put up by the Jets. Wilson's already got one on his second game of his career. And then the other 2 were the guy he replaced. Oh, what's that?
I was going to say Sanchez, but
nope. It's Sam Darnold. Yep. The guy he replaced. And I like Darnold, but I mean, we're talking 3 of the 6 came from one organization. I think the Jets missed on this guy. I've always said I wasn't big on this guy. And I think that it was a reach for number 2. So I think it's pretty bad when Jet fans have to start thinking to themselves, hey, man, remember when we had that good quarterback, Chad Pennington? Like, how far back do we got to go? So to the Jets and to Mr. Wilson, you're going to get the first, come on, man. It's really rough. Turn it around. And then the last one, only 2 this week. it's going to go against the NFL and the enforcement of the taunting rule. And I wrote this before I watched ESPN because now everyone's on this taunting rule. I turned it on yesterday and that's all they're talking about. But some of you may know I'm an old school football guy. Dave and I have had this conversation, many times. I don't like the celebrating, like the jackass. I don't like the twerking. I don't like the bowling. I don't like the dumb shenanigans that these guys come up with, but the league made a choice the other year. They allow celebrations, as long as it's not, I think you can't like use the ball or celebrate towards an opposing team. But, so there's some guidelines. But on the flip side, the league has also had a taunting rule in place for a couple of years now, and they just decided this year to make it a focal point. So this weekend, 8 taunting calls in week 2, 8 of them. And a lot of those were pretty significant in their game. But I just want to touch on, in 2019, there was 11 for the whole season. Oh, no, sorry. There was 8 in 2019, 11 in 2020. We had 8 in a weekend. So be prepared. It's going to happen all year. But basically, if you guys don't know, you can't even trash talk your opposing opponent. So, incomplete pass. The guy gets up, maybe claps the other guy's face for a minute. Flag's coming. Did you see the one? It was a tight end, got up, spun the ball. Well, he was facing the sideline. They said he spun the ball at the opposing bench. Like, you're supposed to get up now, like do the hokey pokey. You got to turn around and then spin the football. I mean, this is getting out of hand. But basically, the way I feel on this thing is you got to let these guys have a little bit of trash talk. You got to let them at least celebrate a little bit, But I'm getting a little lost in because I wrote a bunch of shit here. But basically, this come on, man, is going to be a come on, buddy, for the millennial NFL football league right now. We don't want to hurt any feelings here. So come on, buddy.
Come on, man.
Oh, come on, man.
All right. Well, that's all we got for this episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in, listening, and staying this long. We really appreciate it. For week 3 episode, I'm Dave Amali.
Yep, Joe Stevenson. Have a good week, boys.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.